Hey there, friends. Picture this, it was a super sunny afternoon, the kind where the sky is so blue it looks like someone painted it just for fun. I'm Tommy Jenkins, just a regular kid, nothing fancy about me. I'm the kind of kid who likes playing outside, eating peanut butter sandwiches, and hanging out with my best buddy. And that buddy? He's not a person, he's my fluffy orange cat named Muffin. Yep, Muffin's my pal, and he's the softest, coziest cat you've ever seen. His fur is like a big, warm blanket, and his eyes are shiny like little green marbles. Now, Muffin has this one favorite thing he loves to do, napping. And not just anywhere, nope. He loves stretching out on the soft, green grass in our front yard. He flops down, spreads his paws wide, and closes his eyes like he's the king of the whole neighborhood. It's his special spot, and he looks so happy there, soaking up the sun. Most people who walk by smile at him. They say stuff like, "Oh, what a cute cat," or "Look at that little guy sleeping." I mean, who wouldn't love Muffin? He's adorable, right? Well, almost everyone loves him. Almost. See, there's this one lady who lives right across the street from me. Her name's Karen Miller, and she's not like the nice neighbors who wave and say hi. Oh no. Karen's different. She's the boss of something called the HOA, which stands for Homeowners Association. I don't really get what it is, but I know it means she's always walking around with a clipboard, writing stuff down and telling people what to do. She's got short hair that's always perfect, and she wears these flip-flop shoes that slap the ground when she walks. But the scariest thing about her? Her glare. It's this mean, angry look that could make a big grizzly bear turn around and run away. Seriously, she's that scary. To Karen, Muffin isn't just a cute cat napping in the grass. Nope. To her, he's a problem. A big, fat violation. That's what she calls him, like he's breaking some super important rule just by lying there. I don't get it. He's not hurting anybody. He's not digging holes or chasing people or anything. He's just sleeping. But Karen doesn't see it that way. Every time she looks out her window and spots Muffin on the grass, her face gets all scrunched up, like she just ate a sour lemon. And then she grabs that clipboard of hers and starts scribbling. I don't know what she's writing, but I bet it's something mean about my cat. So, here's how it all started. It was one of those perfect sunny days, and I was sitting on my porch, just watching Muffin do his thing. He was stretched out on the grass, his little belly rising up and down as he snoozed. I was happy, he was happy, everything was great. I was even thinking about grabbing a popsicle from the freezer to make the day even better. But then, out of nowhere, I heard that sound. Slap, slap, slap. Karen's flip-flops. I looked up, and there she was, marching across the street straight toward me. Her clipboard was in her hand, and her eyes were locked on Muffin like he was some kind of criminal. I gulped. I didn't know what she wanted, but I knew it wasn't good. She stopped right in front of our yard, pointed at Muffin, and said in her loud, bossy voice, "That cat is breaking the rules." I blinked at her. Breaking the rules? What rules? He was just sleeping. But Karen didn't care. She kept going. The HOA says no pets can loiter on front lawns. He's a violation, and I'm going to report him. Her voice was so sharp, it made my ears hurt. I tried to say something back, like, "He's not loitering, he's napping." But she didn't even listen. She just turned around, slap, 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 and marched back to her house. I sat there, confused. Loiter? What does that even mean? I had to look it up later. It means hanging around somewhere you're not supposed to be. But this was our yard. Muffin wasn't bothering anybody. I looked at him, still snoozing away, and I thought, how can anyone be mad at you? But Karen was. She was super mad. And that was just the beginning. The next day, I saw her peeking out her window again. She had those blinds pulled just a little bit open, and her eyes were staring right at Muffin. He was back in his nap spot, of course, because that's what he does every day. I waved at her, trying to be nice, but she didn't wave back. She just shut the blinds real fast, like she didn't want me to see her. Weird, right? I shrugged and went back to playing with my toy cars on the porch. But deep down, I had this funny feeling like something big was coming. I didn't know what, But I could tell Karen wasn't done with us yet. A couple days later, it got worse. I was kicking a soccer ball around the yard, and Muffin was, you guessed it, napping on the grass. The sun was shining, birds were chirping, and everything felt perfect. Until slap, slap, slap. There she was again. Karen stormed over, her clipboard waving in the air like a sword. "I told you," she shouted. "That cat can't be here. I'm warning you, little boy, if he's out here one more time, I'm calling the authorities." Authorities? I didn't even know what that meant at first, but her face was so red and angry, I figured it was something bad. I picked up Muffin quick and hugged him tight. "He's not doing anything wrong," I said, but my voice was all shaky. Karen didn't care. She pointed her finger at me and said, "You'll see. I'm in charge around here, and I don't let rule breakers get away with anything." Then she turned and marched off again. I stood there, holding Muffin, my heart beating fast. He purred in my arms, all calm and happy, like he didn't even know what was going on. But I knew. Karen was serious. She wasn't just mad, she was out to get us. After that, I started watching her house more. Every time Muffin went outside, I'd peek across the street to see if she was looking. And guess what? She always was. Sometimes she'd be at her window, sometimes she'd be on her porch, but she was always there, staring at us with that mean glare. One time, I even saw her talking on the phone, pointing at our yard while she yelled. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I bet it was about Muffin. I started to feel like we were in some kind of war, a kid and a cat against the scariest neighbor ever. But here's the thing that made it really crazy, I didn't know what Karen was going to do next. Would she really call someone? Who were these authorities she kept talking about? Was Muffin going to get in trouble just for taking a nap? I mean, he's a cat. Cats nap? It's what they do. But Karen didn't see it that way. To her, Muffin was like a sneaky bad guy she had to stop. And me? I was just a kid trying to protect my best friend. So, that's where it all started, a sunny day, a fluffy cat, and a neighbor who hated him for no good reason. I had no idea what was coming, but I could feel it in my tummy, something wild was about to happen. A kid, a cat, and a control freak lady like Karen? Oh yeah, that's a recipe for trouble. What do you think happens when those three mix together? Stick around, because this story's about to get super exciting. You won't believe what comes next, I promise it's going to blow your mind. Okay, let's keep going a little more, because this is just the start, and I want you to really feel how it all began. Back to that sunny afternoon, I remember it so clear. I was sitting on the porch steps, my sneakers tapping the wood, watching Muffin roll over in the grass. His little paws twitched like he was dreaming about chasing butterflies. I giggled because he's so funny when he sleeps. But then I heard that slap, slap, slap again, and my giggle stopped real fast. Karen was back, and this time she had a pen in her hand, scribbling on that clipboard like she was writing a whole book about Muffin. I stood up, holding my soccer ball, and watched her come closer. She didn't even look at me at first, just kept staring at Muffin. "This is the third time this week," she said, her voice loud and grumpy. "That cat is a problem, and I'm not putting up with it anymore." I hugged my ball tight and said, "He's not a problem. He's just a cat." But Karen shook her head. "Rules are rules, little boy. And I make sure everyone follows them." I didn't know what to say. I'm just a kid, I don't know about rules and clipboards and all that grown-up stuff. But I knew one thing, I wasn't going to let her scare Muffin away. He's my buddy, and that grass is his happy place. So I puffed out my chest, trying to be brave, and said, "You can't make him leave." Karen stopped writing and looked at me. Her glare was so cold, I felt like I might turn into an ice cube. "Oh, I can," she said. "And I will." Then she turned around and walked away, her flip-flops slapping louder than ever. I watched her go, my heart thumping like a drum. Muffin yawned and stretched, not even knowing what was happening. But I knew. Karen wasn't just annoyed, she was planning something. Something big. And I had a feeling it was going to turn my quiet little world upside down. Days went by, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time I let Muffin out, I'd check her house. Was she watching? Was she writing more stuff down? One afternoon, I saw her standing on her lawn, talking to some other grown ups. They were all nodding and looking at our yard. I hid behind the porch railing, peeking out, trying to hear what they were saying. I caught a few words: cat, rules, problem, and my tummy flipped. Were they all against Muffin now? Was Karen turning the whole neighborhood into her army? I ran inside and told my mom. She was in the kitchen, making cookies, and she laughed when I told her. "Oh, Tommy," she said, "Karen's just being silly. Don't worry about it." But I was worried. Mom didn't see the way Karen looked at us. She didn't hear the way Karen said authorities like it was some big, scary threat. I went back outside and sat next to Muffin, petting his soft fur. "Don't worry," I whispered to him. "I'll keep you safe." But keeping him safe wasn't going to be easy. Karen wasn't giving up. The next morning, I saw her out there again, pacing back and forth in front of her house. She had her phone in one hand and her clipboard in the other, like she was ready for battle. I watched from my window, my nose pressed against the glass. Muffin was inside with me, curled up on the couch, but I knew he'd want to go nap outside soon. What was I supposed to do? Keep him locked up forever? That didn't seem fair. He deserved to enjoy the sun and the grass just like anybody else. That's when I decided, I wasn't going to let Karen win. She could glare and write and yell all she wanted, but Muffin was staying. I didn't know how I'd stop her, but I'd figure it out. I'm just a kid, sure, but I've got a big heart and a cat who needs me. So I made a promise to myself right then and there, me and Muffin were in this together, no matter what. And oh boy, what came next was crazier than I ever could have guessed. A kid, a cat, and a lady like Karen? That's not just a story, that's an adventure. So, what do you think happens when those three crash into each other? Hang on tight, because this is about to get wilder than a roller coaster ride. You're not going to want to miss a single second, I promise. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so things were getting pretty wild around my house. Karen Miller, that super bossy lady from across the street, had been keeping her eagle eyes on us for weeks. I'm talking weeks. Every single time my fluffy orange cat, Muffin, flopped down on the soft grass in our front yard for a nap, I'd catch her sneaking a peek. She'd pull her blinds apart just a tiny bit, like she was some kind of spy, and I'd see her staring out at us. Her face was always scrunched up, like she'd just smelled something stinky. And then oh boy, she'd grab that clipboard of hers and start scribbling stuff down super fast. I didn't know what she was writing, but I was pretty sure it wasn't anything nice about me or Muffin. Muffin didn't care, though. He's a cat, you know. All he wanted was to stretch out in the sun, feel the warm grass under his belly, and snooze the day away. His little paws would spread out wide, and his eyes would close tight, like he was dreaming about chasing mice or eating treats. He was so happy out there, and I loved watching him. But Karen? Nope. She didn't think Muffin was cute or happy. To her, he was trouble with a capital T. So, one day, it all came to a big, loud moment. The sun was shining bright, and I was sitting on the porch, sipping some lemonade. Muffin was doing his usual thing, napping on the grass like it was the coziest bed ever. I was just about to go inside for a snack when I heard it, slap, slap, slap. That sound. It was Karen's flip-flops hitting the pavement. It sounded like tiny thunderclaps, boom boom boom, getting closer and closer. My tummy did a little flip. I knew this wasn't going to be good. She marched right up to our yard, her flip-flops slapping louder than ever. She stopped at the edge of the grass, put her hands on her hips, and pointed one skinny finger straight at Muffin. "That cat is breaking HOA rules," she barked. Her voice was so loud, I bet the birds in the trees flew away scared. I blinked at her, my mouth hanging open. Breaking rules? Muffin. My sweet, sleepy cat? I didn't get it. She kept going, her eyes all big and angry. "No pets are allowed to loiter on front lawns. That's the rule, and he's breaking it right now." I stood up fast, my lemonade almost spilling. I had to say something. "He's just napping, ma'am," I said, trying to sound brave even though my voice was a little wobbly. "He's not hurting anyone. He's just a cat. I mean, come on." Muffin wasn't digging up flowers or chasing people or anything bad. He was just lying there, snoozing away. How could that be a problem? But Karen didn't want to hear it. Not one bit. She puffed up her chest like a big balloon and crossed her arms. Her glare got even meaner, like she was trying to turn me into a popsicle with her eyes. Napping or not, she snapped, he's not allowed. And I'm not going to stand here and let you break the rules. Then she said something that made my heart jump right into my throat. I'm calling the authorities. Authorities. I didn't even know what that word meant at first, but the way she said it so loud and serious made me think it was something really bad. Like, super duper bad. I stared at her, my eyes wide. You're calling someone? Over a cat? I asked, my voice all squeaky. Karen didn't answer me. She just smirked, like she'd won a big game, and pulled her phone out of her pocket. Right there, in front of me, she started dialing. I saw her fingers punch the numbers 9-1-1. My jaw dropped. 911? That's the number you call when there's a fire or someone's hurt? Not for a cat taking a nap. I thought maybe she was joking, you know? Like, maybe she was just trying to scare me. Who in the world calls the cops over a sleeping cat? That's bananas. But oh no, Karen wasn't kidding. Not even a little bit. She held the phone up to her ear, her eyes locked on me, and I could hear it ringing. Hello, yes, this is Karen Miller, she said into the phone, her voice all sharp and bossy. I'm reporting a violation in my neighborhood. There's a cat breaking HOA rules, and the owner won't listen to me. I couldn't believe my ears. She was really doing it. She was calling 911 about Muffin. I wanted to laugh because it was so silly, but I was also kind of scared. What if the police came? What if they took Muffin away? I hugged my arms around myself, watching her talk, my tummy twisting into knots. She kept going, telling the person on the phone all about how Muffin was loitering and how I was a rule breaker. I didn't even know what to do. I just stood there, my sneakers stuck to the porch like glue, listening to her complain. Yes, it's an orange cat, she said. He's on the lawn right now, and it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Muffin. My sweet little buddy? I looked at him, still snoozing on the grass, his whiskers twitching a little in the breeze. He didn't even know what was happening. He was just dreaming, all cozy and calm, while Karen was over here acting like he'd robbed a bank or something. When she hung up the phone, she pointed at me again. You'll see, she said, her voice low and mean. The authorities will take care of this. You can't ignore the rules. Then she turned around, slap, 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 and marched back across the street to her house. I watched her go, my heart beating super fast. I didn't know what to think. Was she serious? Were the police really going to come for Muffin? I mean, come on. He's a cat? He doesn't even know what rules are. All he knows is napping and purring and eating treats. How could he be in trouble? I ran over to Muffin and scooped him up in my arms. He blinked at me, all sleepy and confused, and let out a little murrow. I hugged him tight, his soft fur tickling my chin. Don't worry, buddy, I whispered. I won't let her get you. But deep down, I was worried. Really worried. Karen wasn't playing around. She'd called 911 like it was some big emergency, and now I didn't know what was going to happen. Would sirens start blaring? Would a big police car pull up? I didn't want Muffin to be scared or worse, taken away. After that, I started watching Karen even more. Every day, I'd peek out my window to see what she was up to. And guess what? She was always watching us back. Every time Muffin went outside, I'd see her at her window, those blinds pulled just a crack, her eyes staring out like a hawk. Sometimes she'd step onto her porch, clipboard in hand, and just stand there, glaring at us. It was creepy. I'd wave at her sometimes, trying to be nice, but she never waved back. She'd just turn around and go inside, like she was too important to talk to me. One time, I saw her talking to some other neighbors. They were all standing in her yard, nodding and pointing at our house. I hid behind my curtains, trying to hear what they were saying, but I couldn't catch much. Just little bits like cat and problem and rules. Were they all mad at Muffin too? Was Karen turning everyone against us? My tummy felt all twisty again. I didn't want the whole neighborhood to hate my cat. He's the best cat ever. I told my mom about it that night at dinner. She was cutting up some chicken, and I blurted out, "Mom, Karen called 911 on Muffin." She stopped cutting and looked at me, her eyebrows all high. "She did what?" she asked. I nodded fast. "Yeah. She says he's breaking rules by napping on the grass, and she called the police." Mom laughed, like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. "Oh, Tommy," she said, shaking her head. "Karen's just being dramatic. The police aren't coming for a cat. Don't worry." But I was worried. Mom didn't see how serious Karen was. She didn't hear the way Karen said authorities like it was some big, scary promise. I went to bed that night with Muffin curled up next to me, but I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Karen and her phone and that mean glare of hers. What if Mom was wrong? What if the police did come? I hugged Muffin closer, his purring soft in my ears, and promised him I'd keep him safe. No matter what. The next morning, I looked out my window, and there she was again, Karen. She was pacing back and forth on her lawn, her phone in one hand and her clipboard in the other. She looked like she was ready for a fight. I watched her for a long time, my nose pressed against the glass. Muffin was still inside, but I knew he'd want to go nap outside soon. What was I supposed to do? Keep him locked up all day? That wasn't fair to him. He loved the grass and the sun. But if he went out there, Karen would see, and then what? I started to feel like we were stuck in some kind of game, a game I didn't want to play. Karen was the bossy player who made all the rules, and me and Muffin were just trying to have fun. But she wasn't going to let us. She was out to win, and she didn't care if it meant making us miserable. I didn't know what she'd do next, but I had this funny feeling in my tummy like something big was coming. Something really big. And here's the wild part, Karen didn't know it, but someone else was watching her too. Yep, while she was busy glaring at us and calling 911, somebody was keeping an eye on her. I didn't know who it was yet, but I could feel it like a secret waiting to pop out. Karen thought she was in charge, but maybe she wasn't. Maybe something or someone was about to turn this whole crazy mess upside down. So, that's how it all got tense. Karen watching us, calling the police, acting like Muffin was some big bad guy. Me, just a kid, trying to protect my cat. And someone out there, watching her every move. What do you think happens next? Stick around, because this story's about to get even crazier. Alright, friends, buckle up because things were about to get super crazy the next day. I woke up feeling all nervous, like my tummy was full of bouncy little frogs. I couldn't stop thinking about Karen calling 911 about Muffin, my fluffy orange cat. I mean, who does that? It's just a cat napping on the grass. But Karen was serious, and I was scared she'd really get Muffin in trouble. So, I peeked out my window first thing in the morning, just to check on things. Muffin was inside with me, curled up on my bed, purring like a tiny motor. I wanted to keep him safe, but I knew he'd want to go outside soon. That's when I saw a police car rolling up the street. My heart dropped right down to my toes. A police car. Oh no, Muffin was in big trouble now. I ran to the window and pressed my nose against the glass, watching as the car stopped right in front of our house. 2 officers stepped out, and they looked so calm, like they were just taking a walk or something. One had a hat on, and the other was chewing gum. They didn't look mad or anything, just curious, but I was still freaking out inside. I scooped Muffin up in my arms and held him tight. His soft fur tickled my face, and he blinked at me like, "What's going on, Tommy?" I didn't know what to say to him. All I could think was, Karen did it? She really called the cops on my cat? Then I saw her, Karen. She came rushing out of her house so fast, her flip-flops were slapping the ground like a drum beat, slap, slap, slap. She waved her arms in the air like she was trying to flag down a plane. "Officers," she yelled, her voice loud and bossy. "Officers, over here. Arrest that cat." My eyes got huge. Arrest Muffin? Was she nuts? She pointed right at him in my arms, her finger shaking like she'd just caught a bank robber. "It's a menace," she shouted. "That cat's been breaking HOA rules for weeks. It's got to go." I stood there on the porch, holding Muffin, my mouth hanging open. A menace? Muffin? My sweet little buddy who just naps all day? I looked down at him, and he yawned, stretching his paws out like he didn't even hear her. I wanted to laugh because it was so silly, but I was too scared. The officers turned toward us, and I thought, this is it. My life's turned into some kind of weird movie. How did a regular kid like me end up with police at my house over a cat? It was bananas. But here's where it gets really interesting, way more interesting than I expected. The officers didn't come running over to grab Muffin like I thought they would. Nope. They didn't even move toward me. Instead, they looked at Karen, all calm and cool. One of them, the guy with the hat, put his hands in his pockets and said, "Ma'am, are you the one who called about a cat?" His voice was slow, like he wasn't in a hurry at all. Karen nodded super fast, her head bobbing up and down. "Yes, that's me," she said, all smug and proud, like she'd just won a prize. "That cat's a problem, and I reported it." I held my breath, waiting for them to come over and take Muffin away. I hugged him tighter, his purrs rumbling against my chest. But then something weird happened. The other officer, the gum chewer, scratched his head and tilted it to the side. "Funny thing," he said, looking at Karen with squinty eyes. "We were already in the area. Got a tip about someone else causing a stir around here." He paused, chewing his gum real slow, and glanced at his partner. The hat guy nodded, like they were sharing some secret I didn't understand. Karen's face twitched. Just a little bit, but I saw it. Her smug smile wobbled, like she wasn't so sure of herself anymore. I blinked, confused. What did that mean? A tip about someone else? Who? My brain started spinning with questions. Were they talking about me? Or Muffin? Or, wait a minute, were they talking about Karen? I didn't know yet, but my tummy did a little flip, like when you're on a roller coaster and it's about to drop. Something big was coming. I could feel it in my bones, but I didn't have a clue what it was. The officers turned back to Karen, and the hat guy crossed his arms. "So, let's get this straight," he said. "You called 911 because of a cat napping on a lawn." His voice sounded like he didn't believe it, like he thought it was kind of funny. Karen puffed up her chest again, her face turning red. "Yes," she snapped. "It's against the HOA rules. No pets can loiter on front lawns, and that cat's been doing it every day. It's a violation." She waved her arms some more, like she was trying to make her words bigger. I couldn't help it, I spoke up. "He's not loitering," I said, my voice squeaky but loud. "He's just sleeping. He's not hurting anybody." Muffin meowed in my arms, like he was agreeing with me. The officers looked at me, and the gum chewer smiled a tiny bit. "Sleeping, huh?" he said, glancing at Muffin. "Doesn't look like much of a menace to me." I nodded fast. "Exactly. He's the nicest cat ever." But Karen wasn't happy about that. "Nice or not," she barked, "rules are rules. And I'm in charge of making sure everyone follows them." The hat guy raised an eyebrow. "In charge, huh?" he said, his voice all slow again. "Well, we'll see about that." He didn't say anything else, just looked at her real quiet like. Karen's face twitched again, and this time her eyes got a little wide. She didn't like that, I could tell. She opened her mouth to say something else, but the gum chewer cut her off. "Hang on a sec, ma'am," he said, holding up a hand. "We're not here to chase cats. We've got other stuff to check out." He nodded toward the street, like he was talking about something or someone out there. Now I was really confused. "Other stuff? What stuff?" I looked around, but all I saw was our quiet little street, some trees, a few houses, a squirrel running up a pole. Nothing weird or exciting. But the officers acted like there was more going on, something they weren't telling us yet. Karen crossed her arms, her flip-flops tapping the ground. "Well, I hope you do something about this cat," she said, all huffy. "I won't stand for rule breakers in my neighborhood." Then she glared at me, like I was the worst kid ever, and I shrank back a little, holding Muffin closer. The officers didn't answer her right away. They just looked at each other again, like they were having a secret talk with their eyes. Then the hat guy shrugged. "We'll take a look around," he said. "But don't worry, kid," he added, nodding at me. "Your cat's not in any trouble." I let out a big breath I didn't even know I was holding. Phew. Muffin was safe for now, at least. But I still didn't get it. Why were they here if it wasn't about Muffin? What was this tip they were talking about? Karen didn't look happy. She stomped her foot slap and said, "This isn't over." Then she turned and marched back to her house, her flip-flops making that angry sound all the way. I watched her go, my heart still thumping. The officers stayed where they were, looking around the street real slow. I wanted to ask them what was going on, but I was too shy. Plus, Muffin was starting to wiggle in my arms, like he wanted to get down and nap again. I set him on the porch, and he stretched out right there, closing his eyes like nothing had happened. I sat next to him, petting his soft fur, trying to figure it all out. The police were here, but they didn't care about Muffin. Karen was mad, but something was bothering her, like she was nervous now. And that thing the officer said about a tip kept bouncing around in my head. A tip about someone causing a stir? Who could that be? I looked across the street at Karen's house. Her blinds were shut tight now, but I had a funny feeling she was still watching us. Or maybe someone was watching her. The officers started walking down the street, away from our house. They didn't say anything else to me, just kept going, looking at stuff like they were on a treasure hunt. I stayed on the porch, my brain buzzing with ideas. What if this wasn't about Muffin at all? What if Karen had done something else, something bigger that got the police's attention? She was always bossing people around, writing stuff on that clipboard of hers. Maybe somebody got tired of it. Maybe somebody told the police about her. I didn't know yet, but I could feel the excitement building up inside me. Something was happening, something sneaky and surprising. Karen thought she was the big boss, calling 911 and yelling about rules. But what if she wasn't the only one with a plan? What if someone else was out there, watching her every move, waiting for the perfect moment to do something? I didn't have the answers, but I knew one thing: this wasn't just about a cat anymore. It was getting bigger, wilder, and a little bit mysterious. I looked down at Muffin, snoozing away on the porch. "You're lucky you're a cat," I whispered to him. "You don't have to worry about all this crazy stuff." He purred louder, like he was saying, "Yep, I'm just gonna nap." I giggled, but my mind was still racing. Karen's face twitching, the officer's weird words, that tip they mentioned, it all added up to something. Something big was coming, like a storm rolling in slow and quiet. I didn't know what it was yet, but I couldn't wait to find out. So, that's how it went: the police showing up, Karen freaking out, and little hints popping up like clues in a game. What do you think was really going on? Hang on tight, because this story's about to twist and turn even more. Okay, friends, this is it, the big, wild moment where everything flipped upside down. I was still standing on my porch, holding Muffin, my fluffy orange cat, in my arms. His soft fur was brushing against my chin, and he was purring like nothing crazy was happening. But oh boy, crazy stuff was happening. The two police officers were still there, talking to Karen, who was waving her arms and yelling about how Muffin was a menace.